My name is Paul Rouphail, and I'm a painter from the United States. I have been interested, and I am still interested, in painting still lifes in a contemporary context. Typically, my still lifes include depictions of ordinary objects in sort of extraordinary interior places. There is always something slightly strange happening, either the effect of light, or the effect of a wall, or the effect of time in a space. So the idea is that when you see a painting, you're seeing a snapshot in a moment in time where the event happening in the painting will change either before or after the painting is done. The idea for the passenger for this particular show is roughly based on two different stories. The first is Thomas Mann's novel Death in Venice, and a film by Michelangelo Antonioni called The Passenger. And both are very different stories, but I was interested in the plight of the central character in both of these stories. In particular, the idea that it's a story of a person who decides to, for whatever reason, to make a change in their life in order to escape something central to their condition, but they ultimately can't really escape that problem, and that problem follows them as they seek to make a change. I was interested in telling a story of a character who leaves his home, who goes for a cruise ship, and something happens and he becomes ill. And each room, if you move linearly through the show, from the first room to the last, it will hopefully lead the viewer through a very particular series of events. The two large paintings in the first room are of the same room and of two posters and pictures on the wall. Both are posters of Iggy Pop. I was interested in some of the ways in which Iggy Pop's songs might narrativize the sequence of events happening in the show. In particular, his very famous song, The Passenger. In many of the still life paintings, there are untouched meals that have just been prepared. There are untouched beers and beverages. I want to have the feeling of disgust with the meals. The meals are slightly nauseating. The beers are slightly too big. To consume an entire meal is to sicken yourself. If you look at all the maritime paintings, all the paintings that are at sea, everything is very precariously placed. So if we look away and that action continues to happen, that a dish will fall or a glass will break, that time is an essential element to viewing the paintings in that way. So there's a variety of still life paintings in the show, but there are also these, you'll see these small portraits that exist. And the idea for this was to have some other point of view in the show that would then challenge the way that a viewer sees the work on the wall. It's roughly based on what in the history of film is called the subjective camera. This is used quite a bit in Hitchcock movies, for example. And so in the show, I wanted to have these point of view paintings that would then sort of challenge the general narrative and general arc of the paintings as you move around the show. These characters are not real people. They're based on this image output program called StyleGAN, which essentially develops realistic images of people by using artificial intelligence. I used some of these images from the internet and then reconfigured them in Photoshop to confer to my face, and had the faces look at either the viewer or look at other subjects in the paintings to lead us through the gallery, to then lead us towards the very final painting, which is the monochromatic painting that's called The Passenger. I was excited to collaborate with my wife, Lindsay Merrill, who's also a painter, It is also an image of me, a self-portrait that was artificially aged on the computer and then was painted by Lindsay, where we see the central character from a different point of view, essentially on his deathbed.